Alright. So here we've got Godrick the Grafted. Elden Ring boss lore explained. So I don't know much about Godrick. I don't know much at all, so it'll be interesting learning a bit about him. I just know that, you know, he gets his cool dragon arm. I don't know much about his history. So let's learn.
Purporting to be of the golden lineage, but too weak and sickly to be truly worthy, stands the first Shardbearer boss of Elden Ring, Godrick the Grafted. Ironically, even the game itself mocks him for his weakness.
Oh.
Despite his own announcement as Lord of all that is golden, the game immediately contradicts him, with his boss bar stating his name to be Godrick the Grafted, not the Golden. Godrick is a boss immediately known to the player as compensating for his lack of power.
Yeah.
We learn from Roderica that someone is grafting those who approach Stormvale Castle.
Everyone's been grafted?
Grafting is the process of joining separate tissues so that they may grow together. In Godrick's case, he grafts the limbs of challengers to his body, that he may grow from their strength. As his remembrance tells his story, a feeble man sought power through the grotesque act of grafting. One day we'll return together to our home, bathed in rays of gold. Godrick yearned for the glory of a bygone age, hoping to return to it in a splendor of golden light. We can learn much about his golden yearning when we consider his lineage. Gideon Ofnir summarizes.
So, Godrick the Grafted, Lord of Stormvale. Despite being the blood of Godfrey, first Elden Lord, he's a grotesque old fool grasping for power. His castle lies upon the cliff to Limgrave's northwest, but I suspect you know that well enough already.
Godrick seeks the golden glory known to his blood, known to the first Elden Lord.
Oh!
But Enya, in discussing the demigods, explains how Godrick is incapable of achieving this.
But remember one thing. The demigods are each and all the direct offspring of Queen Marika.
Yeah.
Godrick the Grafted was but a distant relation, the runt of the litter.
Oh.
His divine blood sorely diluted.
Oh.
Despite being of divine blood, Godrick is a distant relation, with faded power. And as such, he is weak. He seeks to claim connection with Godfrey, emblazoning his axe with the figure of a beast, representing the strength of the first Elden Lord.
I'm sorry, but you're no Radon. You're no Radon, my dude.
But he is ridiculed by many of the residents of the lands between. Obviously, the attempted connection does not shine through. And considering his history, it's no surprise. We hear much of his pitiable story from Sir Kenneth Haight, who ridicules as much as relays the feats of Godrick.
Honestly, Godrick's nothing more than a jumped-up country bumpkin. Lord? Oh, don't make me laugh.
Yo, if I replay Elden Ring, the whole game is gonna hit so different after learning the lore. It's gonna be really interesting to go through the game knowing stuff about the world. Because obviously, like, I jumped into Elden Ring knowing nothing. As did, you know, everybody who played on release. But it's gonna be really fun to replay it knowing the lore behind all of these different characters, because I was just running around killing shit. You know what I mean? It's gonna be so cool to go back.
First, he hid himself amongst the womenfolk to flee the capital, then hid from Radahn in that castle. Then he insulted Melania, lost to her in battle, only to lick her boots rather than die like a man.
What a
Has
bitch.
he no shame? The big girl's blouse. And to think, he's the blood of Godfrey, last of the golden lineage. Though you almost wouldn't know it to look at him. Yeah, I almost feel sorry for the chap the more I think of it.
And Kenneth isn't making this stuff up. We get confirmation of at least some of what he says in a swords monument in Limgrave. It reads, Godrick the Golden, humiliated, having tasted defeat by the blade of Mikola, now on his knees begging for mercy.
Yeah.
So it seems like Kenneth is speaking reliably, which would mean Godrick was humiliated by both Melania, the Blade of Mikola, and Radahn,
Yeah.
in addition to his sorry state of hiding amongst the women when he fled Lindell.
Oh.
He might have even used magic to make himself appear as a woman to really sell the ruse. After all, the Mimic's Veil item description reads, when Godrick was hounded from Lindell, the royal capital, this was one of a multitude of treasures he took with him.
Golden veil of intricate design to mimic nearby objects. Oh, when Godrick was hounded from Lindell, the royal capital, this is one of the multitude of treasures he took with him, also known as America's Mischief. Bing, are you meowing? What's up? Wow, really? That's crazy. That is so funny. That reminds me of The Hobbit when oh god, what was his name? But either way, he put on like women's clothes to try and escape. I thought that was really funny. Oh, it's embarrassing. I feel like it happens a lot.
This item lets players use FP to mimic nearby objects, so Godrick could have used it to mimic the fleeing women, to really make sure he was not spotted, along with stealing plenty of other items. Ever the
Rude.
coward. But there's something else important about that sword's monument inscription. It refers to Godrick as Godrick the Golden, the same epithet as is used for Godfrey. This is another testament to his golden lineage, regardless of how diluted it may be. Maybe the Golden is Godrick's proper or original title, and what he was called before he began his grafting. We do hear Morgott call him Godrick the Golden.
Yeah.
Godrick the Golden.
If the Grafted was a title of derision that people began calling Godrick later, then it makes sense that Morgott would speak of him with his original formal title.
Yeah.
So Godrick was originally a Golden, but nonetheless he was weak, falling and failing many times, being humiliated by other demigods. Godrick needed more power to assert his place as one of the Golden lineage, and he found an avenue to such power through grafting.
Ew.
But Godrick, believe it or not, was likely not the first in the lands between, or even in his family, to practice the art of grafting to grow in power. In the Altus Plateau, before the capital, we can find an Evergaol named the Golden Lineage Evergaol. In it is Godfroy the Grafted, another of the Golden lineage, who, like Godrick, must have felt too weak for his illustrious line.
Ow.
Godfroy drops the Godfrey icon, a legendary talisman depicting the Elden Lord Godfrey. The description speaks of how the ferocious warrior took the beast regent Sarosh upon his back to suppress his ceaseless lust for battle.
The
Unlike
Evergaols were
Godrick and
interesting.
Godfroy, who feel weak and need to increase their strength, Godfrey, the one they idolize, was such a warrior that he had to suppress his fighting urges. Once again, the difference between Godrick and his lineage is shown to be painfully vast. We learn that Godfroy was put in the Evergaol by ancient dragon knight Kristoff. The knight's ashes tell us that, after the first defense of Lindell, Kristoff earned the hero's honor of Erdtree burial for the feat of capturing Godfroy the Grafted. The first defense of Lindell is a vague event, with our only description of it being found on another sword monument in the Altus Plateau, which reads, "The first defense of Lindell. A sovereign alliance rots from within, traces yet remain of bloody conspiracy." While the rot may seem evocative of Melania, it could just be a choice of translation. It can be translated without the word rot, and it may just mean that the alliance was broken from within, though the blood reference is a direct translation. So Mohg, Lord of Blood, may have been involved in this attack on Lindell, though from which side is hard to tell. Considering Godfroy was captured after the fight, it's likely this Grafted one was on the attacking side.
Yeah.
And we don't really have a clear timeline at all, so this next conjecture could be completely off base. But if this attack happened at the same time that Godrick escaped the capital...
Is this person wielding... Well, what sword is that? It reminds me of Melania's sword. Can you get Melania's sword in the game? Yeah, The Evergaols, I beat most of them. I struggled really hard at one, though, in particular. boss and still okay. Oh yeah, I thought so.
Then perhaps he saw his kin member
But yeah, I don't
fighting
know
with the
if this is-
demigods through the power of grafting. This could have been
just a long
Godrick's
sword.
inspiration to
Does
take
remind
to
me of hers, though.
grafting, to grow in power, to gain respect, and to be worthy of his name. So Godrick began grafting
Oh, man,
himself, his
those friggin'
followers, and
guys.
even his warhawks. The warhawk ashes read,
I hated these guys. Rivers of Blood? Okay. These friggin' guys, I hated them so much. They killed me more times than I'm comfortable admitting. God, they're so horrible to fight.
Spirit of a Stormvale warhawk, the talons of which have been sliced off so that razor-fine swords could be grafted in their place.
Ugh.
With its lord vanquished and its wings wounded, the hawk perished as it solemnly gazed at its former home. The storm is a warhawk's cradle. Godrick took control of Stormvale Castle, but he did not bring the power of the ancient storm. He stands as the first
Bing just came up here, farted, and left. That's so rude.
major obstacle for the Tarnished, picking off the weak ones and grafting them for his own power. Even taking the power of a dragon did him no good, though he could only take the head of a dragon small and long dead. And in this futile act, we can see for one last time, Godrick yearned to mirror his blood. For long ago, Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, fought in the war with the dragons, facing the Storm Lord alone. And war was not all. His son, Godwyn, befriended the dragons, becoming companion to Fortisax, whose Death Lightning incantation features Godwyn's Golden Lightning. In his final moments, Godrick once again juxtaposed his weakness to his ancestors' strength, presenting a feeble rendition of his family's theme of draconic connection.
Yeah.
Finally, Godrick shouts for his ancestors to recognize him. Then he dies, yearning to return to Leyndell in golden glory.
And one day, we'll return together
Oh.
to our home, bathed in rays of gold.
But he could only
Tragic.
find lordship in Stormville, and only for a time. He could not escape his weakness and his cowardice. Thus, he fell. But there is a new lord, ready and willing to take his place. With the newest patch, Lady Nepheli Loux can find her place as Lord of Stormville, recognized by the fair judging sense of Kenneth Haight. Nepheli Loux is of lineage and possible daughter of Hoarah, the warrior side of Godfrey the Golden. In this, Stormvale once again is led by a warrior of a lord, one who can summon the storm once more.
Man, that sucks.
And that is the end of the lore of Godrick the Grafted.
Sucks to be Godrick.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
Oh,
Make sure to stick
man, that's
around
sad.
if you want to see more,
Poor
because I will
guy.
be making more lore content about Elden Ring. Let me know in the comments if there's anything I missed or any kind of interpretation that you think isn't justified. There's definitely a lot about the first defense of Leyndell that I'm not sure about, and that could use a lot more explanation and figuring out the timeline. So, hope to see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.
Man. This game has an awful lot of tragedy in it, huh? The defamation of... Hey, but hey, it's only defamation if it's not true. Right? I'm just saying. Is it really defamation if it's true? History is indeed written by the victor. What on earth are you doing over there? Oh, she's got her toy. Is there anything really happy in Elden Ring? Yeah, exactly, serious. Yeah, it's not defamation if it's true. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. You can reunite the two of the jellyfish. Oh, that's cute. I like that.